let's learn about increasing and decreasing. This might seem a little bit confusing, but once I show you, you're going to see how absolutely simple it is. So let's just take this little piece that we're working on here. We have a certain number of stitches up here, right? If we keep making the same number of these same stitches, we're going to make something that's rectangular, which is often what we want, but sometimes we don't. Especially if you're going to be making amigurumi, the little stuffed animals, you're going to really need to know how to increase and decrease. So let's get started. As we know, a regular crochet, we're going into the hole, we're coming back through, and we're making our stitch. If we want to increase, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to make a regular stitch in this one. Ooh, I got a funky piece of yarn there. Okay, so there's a regular stitch, but I'm going to put another stitch in that exact same hole that we just put a stitch into. So I'm going straight back in there, coming back through, and bam, there we have it. So you can see there are 2 stitches in the one hole. So we have just increased the number of stitches by 1 for this whole row if all we do is regular single crochet for the rest. However, if we increase in every stitch, it's going to get bigger. So let's do that. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, but then I'm going to go in the same hole and add a second. So that's an increase. See where we have the 2 and the 2. So let's increase all the way down. There's 1 and 2 in the same stitch from the previous row. So you can see how that's getting kind of tight now, and it's already starting to widen a little bit, starting to push out to the sides. All right. So let's do an increase again in this one. So that's 2, and you can see we are increasing, and it's getting kind of wavy here because we're having to shove all these stitches into these tiny holes. Sometimes that's what we want. Now I'm going to show you how to do a decrease. So when we're decrease, we're going to combine 2 stitches from the previous row because what we want is to make this tighter. When we normally go in, we take both of them, right? For the decrease, we're going to go into our next stitch, but only into the front. And then I'm also going to go into the front of the next stitch. So I have the front loop from 2 stitches. Then I'm going to yarn over and come through and complete my single crochet. So you can see how that's pulled those 2 together. So we can decrease here as well. So I have this one and this one, but I'm going to go in the front of this one, front of this one. I'm going to bring my working yarn back through both of those loops, and then I yarn over and pull through for my single crochet. So we can see how that's smashing everything together. All right, we just have 1 left, so I'm going to go ahead and do a regular single crochet in this one, but we can pick this up and we can see it's getting a little more crowded here. We have fewer stitches here, but we have more stitches here. So I'm going to yank this out and go back to our increases. So the last place that I increased was here because I can see those 2 stitches. And I'm going to show you what happens if we continue to increase. So I'm going to increase all the way down. So I'm putting 2 stitches in each 1 stitch from the row before. 2 in here, and I'm going to pick up both of those now because I'm not only looking for the one loop. I want both of those loops. So I'm continuing to increase. Whoa, sorry, my little sheet's getting all wonky. Okay, so that's 2 in there, so I'm going to put 2 in here. There's 1, 2, and then I'm going to put 2 in here. 1. Then we find that hole again, and we put the second one. And then here at the end, we've got our very last stitch. So let's just increase in there. And if you see a pattern that says SC increase, that just means you're increasing with single crochets like I just showed you here. I'm still gonna chain up to turn for the next one. But now let's increase again. So we doubled the number of stitches, so it's getting bigger. You can see that here. Now we're gonna double the double. So we're gonna put 2 in each one of these. And I want you to watch what happens as we do that. You can probably guess, but I'm gonna show you. So there's 2. You can do this with other crochet too. You can double crochet increase or treble crochet increase. That is totally up to you or the pattern that you are following. But I'm going to increase in each of these. And we're going to see that it starts getting almost ruffly. If you've ever seen anybody crochet something with a nice ruffle on the edge, this is how you do it. Other reasons you might want to increase. Maybe you don't want to make a ruffle, but you want to make something have a shape. If you're crocheting in the round and you want to make something that is, so you're making the head of an animal, and at the top, that head's going to be a little smaller. But toward the center of the sphere, or the whatever the head shape is, it's going to need to be bigger. So you're going to have to add more stitches to increase the size of the thing you're making. You'll notice the more you increase, the longer it takes for you to complete a row because you're doing twice as much work. Sometimes if you are, there's a certain formula for making a flat circle, and sometimes you will single crochet and then increase. So in one stitch, you might just single crochet, but then in its next door neighbor stitch, you might increase. So that helps us formulaically increase our work to make it a specific shape. Patterns are nice because someone has already done all of that work for you. They've already done all of the crochet math, and they know that the geometry is going to be correct when you make the item for which you're reading a pattern. You can always make your own patterns, but there are a lot of great people out there making patterns for us. All right, I'm almost to the end. Put 2 in here, and then 2 in this one. 1, 2, and then I have my very last stitch where I'm going to add 2. All right, so now if we put that down, you can see how it's starting to ruffle, right? And it's doing that because these stitches don't have anywhere else to go. They're just having to shove in here because they're all kind of anchored at the bottom. It's kind of like a tree. You're branching out as you go up. So you can continue doing row after row after row of increases and you'll have yourself a pretty good ruffle going on. All right, so then the decrease again. Let me show you. Let's turn. Let's see if we can decrease it back down. So I'm still going to chain up one for the following row, but my decrease in this first one, there's that loop, and there's the loop from the next one. So I'm going to bring my working yarn through those two loops. Maybe I am. There we go. To where I have those two loops on my hook, and then I'm just going to single. So now I'm going to go back through this one and this one, and I'm going to bring my working yarn through. Decreasing is not always as easy if you crochet very tightly. Okay, and then I'm going to go through the front loop of this one and the front loop of this one. So I have these two on my hook. I'm going to come back through those, and then I'm going to yarn over for my single crochet. So who's next? All right, so we need this one here. Is that right? Sometimes these kind of string together. Okay, that's the first one there, and then this is the first one next to it. Like I said, decreases can be a little more difficult if you crochet very tightly. But basically, you're bringing your working yarn through those two. My yarn is being so sassy. I apologize. All right. We're going to pull it out, and we're just going to do this twisty thing where we make our yarn. Maybe it's going to behave a little better for us. If it starts coming out of the twist, we're just going to undo it. And I can't do anything about these at this time, but I'm just going to try to like stick them back together. Okay. Now in here and in here, and we're going to bring our working yarn back through. Hey, why do I have two on my hook? You know, we're just going to pull this whole row out because, there we go. Okay, these are already nice and giant for us because we have crocheted in them previously, but we're going to have the two loops, and then we string it together. And then this one, we already had those two loops where we could see them because we previously crocheted into them. So we're going to loop those together, and this is where it got stringy. So there's one, and there's the other one, and I'm going to go back through both of those. This is the one that is being a pill. Sometimes you can just turn your hook and get through it. Other times you got to go in there and just pick off the one that's not supposed to be there. There we go. That was annoying. Okay, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through. Front of this one, front of the next stitch. We're going to pull our working yarn through those two loops to where we have the two loops here, yarn over, complete our stitch. So in that one, in this one, pull through both of those loops that we picked up, yarn over, and complete our stitch. Front, front, pull through both of those with our working yarn, and complete our stitch. So there's one front, there's the next front. We're going to pull through both of those, yarn over, and stitch. Front, front, pull through both of them, yarn over, complete your stitch. Front, front, and I'm going to pull my working yarn through both of these. There we go. And then yarn over and pull through. So same here, front, front, yarn over, pull through both of these guys, yarn over, complete your stitch. Front, front, pull through both of those loops, yarn over, and there we are. So we're decreasing across this entire row. This can be particularly difficult when you're making the little stuffed animals and you have crocheted so tight that it's hard to pick up that front loop, but just practice. I know that you'll be able to do it. You're usually not decreasing an entire row like this, so it's going to be a little roomier. Oh, this yarn is driving me bananas, y'all. Okay, that's the front loop. That's the front loop. And let's come on through here. Come on, yarn. Do your job. Listen to me. Sometimes you can pick it with your finger. There we go. All right. Now we're going to come over. Come on through. There's our front loop. When I say front loop, if this has escaped you, there's your V. You're picking up only the front part of the V. And you're also doing that for the next stitch. Yarn over, come through those, and then you complete your single crochet. Same deal, pick up one, pick up the next one, come on through those two, and then you're able to complete your single crochet. Ooh, we are ending on the correct number this time. So let's come on through both of those, yarn over, and complete that stitch. All right, no, I was kidding, there's one more. So we'll just put our single crochet in here because we just have one more. All right, so there we go. And if we decreased on this round, we should be back to that same number that we had here. But you can see how that helps to unruffle it, because we're then making this number smaller again. When you come upon increases or decreases, and they are a double crochet increase or a double crochet decrease, it doesn't matter. You're going to do it the same way. So a double crochet increase is going to be just like a double crochet. So we're going to chain extra at the beginning for double so that it's nice and tall. So I'm going to do a regular double crochet, and then we'll increase on the next one. So a double crochet increase is going to go like this. One double crochet and another double crochet right there in that same hole that we just worked in. So there's a double increase. See how that worked? Let's do one more time. It's simply adding a double crochet instead of a single crochet. And if you were going to do a double crochet decrease, you would yarn over first and then go pick up your little hole. So the hole that you create here takes the place of this hole. So that's where you're going through, bringing your yarn back through, and then like regular double crochet, you just finish it off. So this is a double crochet increase because we've put 2 double crochets into one from the previous row. And this is a double crochet decrease because we're combining 2 from the previous row into one double crochet. So my friends, that is increasing and decreasing. Practice it. It can be, especially the decrease can be very weird at first because you're not sure you're doing the right thing. Is it going to look okay? It will, trust me. People have been crocheting for a long time and they figured this stuff out, so we are just going to take their knowledge and learn from it. Good luck, my friends.